Hi again. This is take 2 of my Facebook Live tonight. So here's the deal. If you can't hear my audio, I need you to tell me. This is a team effort here, guys. I'd really appreciate it. But I wanted to start from the top. And if you're watching this right now, we're going to talk about what I wish I knew about steeping loose leaf tea in 5 minutes. But I want to, before that, talk to you a little bit about something that I have planned and that I'm really excited about and that I am going to share with you soon. I am creating something that I hope is useful to you. Some strategies and techniques that I use to prevent burnout and things that I've learned over the years that, for me, I use tea as an anchor for these different strategies that I'm going to share with you. And my hope is that you find them valuable. I sell tea, so that's a physical product that I actually physically have to send to you. But what I want to create is something that isn't necessarily a physical product, that it's something that I can teach you and something that you can take with you and use throughout your day. So that's something that I'm working on right now. I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to get that to you soon, in October, in fact. I'm going to let Rocco pass on by here. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's coming. And I know that there are people who are still in the 21-day tea ritual challenge, which I'm super excited about. And I hope that you've been too. If you're in it, that's fantastic. I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite things to create all year long. And and it's available to you too. If you're interested and you want to try it, it's totally free. You can go to the website and click under resources, and you can take the 21-day tea ritual challenge and sign up for it there. But that was a program that I created because I wanted to create something to give back and to give you something to help you through your day. So anything to prevent burnout, anything to prevent us from, grinding away and taking that time out, that's something that I feel is valuable, and I hope you do too. All right, so it's about 5 minutes in, and I am going to start us off with something that I wish I knew before I started steeping tea. I'm Dina Cataldo. I'm the founder of Sicilian Tea Company. I've written a blog that you, I hope, find interesting. It's called 9 Things That I Wish I Knew Sooner About Steeping Loose Leaf Tea. But what I want to talk to you about right now is the one thing that I wish I knew most of all, which was, I wish I knew that tea was not supposed to taste bitter. I wish somebody had told me that. It would have been nice. So, you may already instinctively know that your tea tastes bitter. You might already add tea or add creamer or mint leaves or cloves or something to cut that flavor, that aftertaste that you're getting when you drink your tea. You might already instinctively know that. So let's take a step back and think about how we got there, how we started drinking tea without thinking about how it's supposed to taste. Because at least that was my experience. My experience was drinking tea in a tea bag with a string attached by a staple and letting it steep in my teacup, sometimes for 10 minutes. And I would just drink it, not knowing that it was horrible, because I thought that's what tea was supposed to taste like. Turns out that's not true. I discovered that over the years, and I started experimenting with loose leaf tea and figuring out exactly what tea was supposed to taste like, and I would like to share that with you. So one of the things you'll get if you go to the blog is a free guide that I've created that talks about how tea can taste if you're making it right, if you're getting good quality leaves, if you're brewing it right, all that good stuff. And I've got lots of resources to help you brew things, and we'll talk about that here too. But if you're curious about what tea can taste like, if you're, sipping tea and you were like me and you were drinking tea bags in a teacup and you didn't think anything of it because your mom brewed it that way, like mine did, and maybe your grandma brewed it that way, like mine did, and nobody ever talked about the other things that were out there when it came to loose leaf tea, or any tea whatsoever. So I highly suggest that you go to the blog and grab that freebie guide, because it's just a fun thing to go through. I like to go through it every so often when I'm trying to describe just the right word to explain my experience, because tea should be an experience. It should be something that is multifaceted and complex and fun and not drudgery or mud. Okay? So that's something that I hope you take advantage of. So let's talk about four questions that you can ask yourself, and 4 tweaks that you might be able to make, whether or not you drink loose leaf tea or tea bags. These are things that you can do to make your tea experience better. All right. So first off, just ask yourself, what kind of tea are you brewing? Okay. Are you brewing loose leaf, the kind where when you're steeping it, you see the leaves unfurl and you can actually see the leaf as it was plucked off the plant? Or are you drinking the tea particles? They're not going to open up. They are going to, they're going to brew pretty quickly. So ask yourself what kind of tea you're drinking. And the reason that this is important is because the tea particles, the tea dust, is going to have a lot less of the natural oils than the loose leaf that I was describing. And the reason for that is because when the tea leaves are crushed, the air, the oils evaporate into the air. The more that they are handled, the more the leaves are handled, the more that they are oxidized, the more of those oils leach into the air, and the fewer oils that are in the leaf. When you brew tea, ideally, those oils are still within the leaf and they can be extracted by the hot water. When you have loose leaf tea, that's much more likely to happen. You're going to get a lot more complex flavors. Now, with the tea bags, you're still going to have the oils that are in those particles extracted, but they're not going to be as complex. They are going to be kind of like a rough and tumble kind of tea. It's like a quick and dirty tea. But it can be less enjoyable because you're not getting those complex flavors. And that's something I discovered, and that's just something you have to discover for yourself. What do you enjoy most? So that's number one. Just ask yourself, what kind of tea are you drinking? Loose leaf or tea particles? So the second thing you want to ask, no matter what you're drinking, is, how long are you brewing your tea? Tea bags brew much quicker. Like the tea particles, they brew much quicker. The reason for that is because there is more surface area for the water to get hold of on those leaves. And they're going to, extract those oils really quickly. So remember what I was telling you? I would leave the tea bag in my teacup and maybe I would be sipping away with the tea bag still in my cup. The entire time, the hot water is still extracting oils from that leaf. Or those, so it's going to create more of a bitter flavor. It's not going to taste very good. So that's something you want to ask yourself is, are you leaving your tea bag in your mug? If the answer is yes, try doing it differently. Maybe you only brew it for a minute and then take the tea bag out. Because if you don't, it's just going to continue. The water's still going to extract oils and it's not going to taste good. It's going to have that bitter flavor. You're going to have that muddy, sour aftertaste in your mouth. And the same thing's true with loose leaf teas. If you leave the tea leaves in your water, it's going to have the same effect. The water's going to continue to extract the oils from the leaf, and rather than having this delicious, complex flavored tea, you may be able to taste a little bit of that, but it's going to be overpowered by the bitterness that you get from that drink. So that's the second thing that you want to ask yourself is how long are you brewing your tea? And as a side note for loose leaf tea, I usually start brewing it for about 2 minutes and just see if I like it. If I accidentally leave tea too long in a cup now, I just throw out the tea. Life's too short to drink that kind of tea. If it's too bitter, just throw it out. I mean, don't settle. Why bother drinking it if you're not really going to enjoy it? If you're not really going to just, take a lot of pleasure within your tea, there's really no point in keeping it around, right? You can just brew another cup. The third question to ask is, how hot is the water that you're brewing your tea in? The reason this is important is because you can make your tea bitter depending upon how hot the water is. So for instance, black teas, it's okay to boil water and to steep your leaves in the boiling water. It needs a higher temperature to extract the oils. Green teas or lighter teas, teas that have color to them, you want to use something that's off boiling. So you can boil your water, walk away for 5 minutes, and then come back and pour your water over your tea leaves. Those kinds of leaves need a lower temperature of water to extract the oils from. So that's something to be aware of. If you are a green tea drinker, don't use boiling water. That will help with some of the tanginess, some of the bitterness that you get from your tea. Something to look out for. Now, number 4, I've experienced with loose leaf tea, not so much with bag tea. But I haven't drank it in a while, so it's not something I can really speak to anymore. But with loose leaf tea, I have had the experience of putting too much tea in my teacup. So how much tea are you using? So for instance, I usually use about 2 teaspoons of whatever tea I'm drinking. If it's not the kind that I can usually put into a spoon, I usually take my hand and measure a palm full, and then I put it in my tea infuser, and I put in my water, and then I walk away for a couple minutes and I come back. So then when I am taking the tea out, maybe I won't think that I've steeped it that long. I've used water that was, I thought, the right temperature. And then I start drinking the tea and it's bitter. So then I start looking at, well, maybe I put too much tea in my cup and just didn't make it taste good. So if you have too much tea, then that might be a reason why your tea tastes bitter. Just another thing to consider. So those are the 4 things that you want to ask yourself if your tea tastes bitter. Heck, you might not even notice that your tea tastes bitter, but I suggest giving this a shot, just seeing whether or not you're instinctively adding sugar and milk and adding things like mint leaves or cloves to kind of mask what you're tasting in your tea. Because then you can start going through those 4 questions. 1, what kind of tea are you using? Loose leaf or bag tea. 2, how hot is your water? 3, how long are you steeping your tea? And 4, are you using too much tea? Then you can walk yourself through those questions and you can find out where can you make improvement, where can you enjoy your tea more. So that would be my suggestion to you. And to find out some more suggestions and figure out if there's any other ways you can tweak your tea ritual so you can enjoy it even more, go to the blog in the post and I'll go through all my secrets, all the things that I wish I knew about tea long ago. And hopefully if you have a suggestion or if you have something that you wish you knew about steeping tea to help other people out, please go to the blog and leave a comment there and tell us. This is a community. I want it to be a community, and part of that is sharing what it is you're experiencing. What's your experience? Each of us have a different experience when it comes to life and when it comes to tea. We each have our own thoughts about how tea should taste, and maybe we're still learning about tea. I know I'm still learning about tea, and I hope I'm learning for a long time because that's what keeps it interesting. So go ahead and go to that post, and while you're there, check out the tea tasting guide because I put some work into it and I started collecting a lot of different flavors, and you might have some that you can add to it. So I'd love to hear from you if you have any suggestions. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely evening.